situation. I wish I had that at hand. I'm not going to lie, this was the last reported one. That was January, and we burnt about $1 million a month exploring since then. So you can do your own math. We're getting there, lower on cash, and pulling out gold. So credit to her. Thanks a lot. It was an absolutely great achievement. Marat is a resources specialist. He's also got a lot of experience. He's been scratching the ground all over the world for the last 40 years. Yeah, about 70,000 during COVID. And so Marat is here kicking rocks with me. We're finding more pegmatites. It's really good. Paul is our corporate guy on Bay Street. It was too hard for us to deal on 2 time zones without being able to travel. Paul actually took that role then to facilitate things in Canada when we couldn't travel. Now, capital structure, corporate, so many. We'll see what comes out in the resource, but we're pretty comfortable we made it standalone deposit. Now, as I said, big difference, the road, it's an all-weather road. I'm driving it tomorrow morning to pick up the guys from the airport. It's 4 hours to a commercial airport. That's pretty good. We have a camp because that deposit was mined a little bit. And so we do have a camp. We're at camp now. It's livable. It's pretty good. We cornerstone the installation of the first photon assay lab, which is catering for Coast Gold. It's the first photon assay lab in North America, and we cornerstone the installation of it. We pushed hard for it to be installed in Quebec. It is in Val d'Or and operational now. So that's been turning our samples. That 365 grams per ton comes out of a photon assay, and surprise, surprise. So I can see your question there. Can you send samples? Yeah, talk to us. Maybe we have an opening there. There might be some way for you to do something there. Now, our brother was showing sulfide that hadn't been cut, so I came closer to the core rack, and I had a look at the core there. And what did I find in the upper part of the hole? Some pegmatite. Had been logged as granite, never referenced before, and we didn't even have it in the in the database. So we looked for that hole. We found that it had been drilled at Ruby Hill West, a bit further out, about 4 kilometers from there, and it's got pegmatite logged as granites in it. So all good there. We're but that's pretty usual. I was talking to a friend of mine. We were talking about it, and he said, you know, people say you find good deposits in the shadow of the head frame. Well, that core was actually stored about 15 meters from the portal at the East Main Mine. So that's the same deal. That's where you make good discoveries, near the portal, near the head frame. And that is very much it. So in the Upper East Bank, it would have hit pegmatite from the top. Like literally on the same hill, the rig is in basalt 2 meters away from pegmatite. So anyway, hole 4 had nothing in it, drilled in basalt. But because we understood that we wanted to cover the whole section, turned the rig around, and then we hit about 30 meters of pegmatite. Now that pegmatite we know will have grade because it's got some pretty spectacular spodumene in it, pretty much fist-size crystals there. We started receiving assays for the program, so we should have results out in the market reasonably soon. There's some interesting numbers in what we've seen. No doubt, when you see that much spodumene, you know that there's going to be some lithium there. So to be continued in the very near future, but we were pretty happy with that. Now, we have been at Ruby Hill West for the last nearly 2 weeks. It's been all hands on deck. I'm here at site because I still pretend to be a geologist. I've done enough of that to find a few rocks and kick a few rocks around. We have 4 people every day in the field out there, just checking everything that looks like it could be a pegmatite. We have seen some more in the whole area, and we've been scraping that outcrop and cleaning that outcrop to actually find exactly where things are going and understand better how we're going to pursue the next round of drilling there. Now, that lithium pegmatite is in the Ruby Hill West area. in the database, nothing done before us. We went out there, did electromagnetics, found targets, drilled. In 2020, proof of concept, we got, we ended up with 5 meters at 8 grams, which was a pretty good discovery hole. Then we kept going, we kept finding, and best intercept to date in the system, meter at 365.5 grams per ton, and that's only 80 meters below surface, was reported a few weeks ago. So to date, started with 3 zones in 2020, and now we're in 2022, 18 months of drilling. We end up with 3 more zones and multiple parallel lenses. So we put out an exploration target based on all of our drilling. That exploration target is pretty much built a bit like a resource without putting all the effort of matching everything. Based on geological continuity, the exploration targets between, we have somehow an additional, we have the view on an additional 500,000 ounces to 0.8 million ounces to add to the existing one. So we have a total, we have our eyes on a total between 1 million ounces and 1.2 million ounces at high grade. The current resource is about 8 grams. The exploration target, the maximum is about 7 grams. Like every gold system, if you start, like every high-grade Archean gold system, if you start increasing the drill density, you start finding the better parts of the system, and then you have more high grade coming in the system. The indicated in the current resource is higher grade than the inferred. Now, a few months ago, we went and double-checked what happened at the southern anomalies. Southern anomalies, we were told they were too big to actually be legitimate, or they had to be stratigraphic, or they had to be graphitic shales. Anyway, we put a loop over there. We decided to go drilling last winter. We went out there, found some sulfides, found some sheared conglomerates, found so basically, what did we see? We saw a comparison or similarities between the Upper East Main Greenstone Belt and the Agnew to Wiluna Belt. Now, the Agnew to Wiluna Belt, we were very familiar with it. It's in Western Australia. It's roughly the same size, but it has a 45 million ounces endowment. It has millions of tons of nickel, property of BHP Nickel West. And it does have Kathleen Valley, which was in the news yesterday, with Ford signing a binding agreement with Liontown, who owns the Kathleen Valley lithium project. So originally we went there because we were all familiar with a company called Bellevue. And I don't know how familiar you are with Bellevue, but Bellevue Gold, I was an analyst covering that company a few years ago. Bellevue Gold went from nothing, reviving an old project in 2018, to now being in development with 3 million ounces in resource. So